Today, I am going to be telling you about Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth is the best player of all time. You're going to understand why in the next 6 to 7 minutes. He brought baseball back to life after no one cared about it anymore. The biography I chose to educate myself on Babe Ruth is called The Big Band: The Life and Times of Babe Ruth by Lee Montville. The first trivia fact about him is that the sale sending Babe Ruth to the Yankees from the Red Sox is often called the curse of the Bambino because the Red Sox would not win another World Series until 2004. Babe's real name was George Herman Ruth Jr. He was born February 6, 1895 in Baltimore, Maryland. His parents are George Sr. and Kate Ruth. He was one of 8 children, although only he and his sister Mamie survived. His father managed a tavern in the harsh working class district of Pigtown, where he grew up. George got into such much trouble as a kid that his parents had to send him to St. Mary's Industrial School for Boys. George learned to work hard at reform school. He was taught carpentry and how to make clothes, among other things. Brother Matthias, one of the school's monks, encouraged George to take up baseball. George was a natural in front of the camera when the newspaper and journalists came to take pictures of him. George improved as pitcher, batter, and fielder with the help of Brother Matthias. Another trivia fact about Babe was that he was called the best left-handed pitcher in the American League of the 1910s. George excelled at baseball to the point where the monks persuaded the owner of the Baltimore Orioles to come watch him play. The owner was impressed, and George signed his first professional baseball contract at the age of 19. Because George was so young, veteran Orioles player began to reference him as Babe, and the nickname stuck. Babe was sold by the Orioles to the Boston Red Sox in 1914. He was better known for his pitching than his hitting at the time. Ruth became one of the top pitchers in the major leagues while with the Red Sox. He went 23-12 in 1916, leading the league with a 1.75 ERA. Babe Ruth was quickly discovered to be an even greater hitter than he was a pitcher by the Red Sox. He was shifted to the outfield and blasted 29 home runs in 1919. At this time, this was a single-season home run record. Ruth was traded to the New York Yankees in December 1919. He spent the next 15 years with the Yankees, becoming one of the most famous baseball players in history. He led the league in home runs almost every year and helped the Yankees win 4 World Series championships in 1927. He was a member of the Murderers Row, one of the greatest hitting lineups in baseball history. Babe Ruth set a record with 60 home runs that year. He played his last year of baseball for the Boston Braves. Ruth retired in 1935 after a partial season with the Boston Braves, ending his 22-year big league career with 714 home runs. His lifetime statistics also include 2,873 hits, 506 doubles, 2,174 runs, 2,214 RBIs, a .342 batting average, a .474 on-base percentage, and a .690 slugging percentage. Another trivia fact about Babe Ruth is that the Yankee Stadium, built in 1923, was often called the house that Ruth built. Babe Ruth's rebellious teenage personality continued into adulthood. Ruth had a reckless lifestyle. He was known for eating large meals and drinking excessive amounts of alcohol. Babe was also known to be warm-hearted and a showman. Babe Ruth married a 16-year-old Helen Woodford after his rookie season. The couple adopted a daughter, likely born to one of Ruth's mistresses, Dorothy, in 1922. Within a few years, the pair separated permanently. Dorothy Ruth and Julia Ruth Stevens were Babe's daughters. In 1923, the Yankees signed a big, strong kid from the campus of Columbia University, Lou Gehrig. Gehrig was nearly his match as a batter. The duo's batting feats are almost impossible to comprehend. Gehrig wouldn't join the Yanks full-time until 1925. Claire Hodgson, unlike Helen Ruth, was poised, self-confident, and very attractive. She had left a bad marriage in Georgia in 1920, traveled to New York with her daughter Julia, and started a career. Her elegant good looks soon got her work as a model for well-known illustrators. Her husband died 2 years later. She began an acting career, and while working in a play opening in Washington, a friend in the cast asked her to join him to see the Yankees play the Senators. Claire was a baseball fan. Her friend knew Babe Ruth. They met briefly before the game. He sent her an invitation to the theater that night, asking her to join him for dinner. Her return note asked if she could bring a along the lady friend. By the time the show opened in New York, Claire had been joined by her mother and two brothers. Their father had died earlier in the year. Ruth began to spend much of his free time in their company, entertaining her mom and charming Claire. Babe and Helen lived quite separate lives now. It seemed best for their child to be away from the circus atmosphere that surrounded her adopted father. Divorce from Helen was out of the question. Ruth had been raised as a Catholic. Another trivia fact about him is that he won 3 World Series with the Red Sox and 4 with the Yankees. In 2015, he still sat at the top in 10 in many MLB statistics, including home runs for 714, the batting average of .342, RBI for 2,213, slugging percentage of .690, OPS with 1.164, runs of 2,174, bases of 5,793, and walks of 2,062. 1 inductees into the Baseball Hall of Fame, which was established in 1936. During his final appearance at Yankee Stadium on June 13, 1948, his jersey number 3 was retired by the Yankees. During the Great Depression, Babe helped preserve baseball from the dreadful Black Sox scandal, and he offered hope to millions of people. He had an impact on the game that he had never seen before or after. He is still the standard by which all the other players are measured. When measured to Babe Ruth, you have to be a great player. Everyone praises him for bringing baseball back to life. Even if you even get close to him, you are the real deal. So the Black Sox scandal was a Major League Baseball game fixing scandal in which 8 members of the Chicago White Sox were accused of throwing the 1919 World Series against the Cincinnati Reds in exchange for money from a gambling syndicate led by Arnold Rothstein. He helped bring baseball back to light and bring people back into the ballparks. He brought in huge crowds wherever he went, and everyone wanted to see Babe swing the bat. Another fun fact about him is that his lifetime pitching record was 94-46 with a 2.2 ERA. In 1936, Babe Ruth retired. At the time of his retirement, he held 56 major league records. His most famous record was his career-leading 714 home runs. This record was held until it was broken by Hank Aaron in 1974. In retirement, Ruth played golf and in several exhibition baseball games, but no major league team had any interest in hiring him to be a manager. The Brooklyn Dodgers then hired him in 1938 as a first base coach, but he did not get along with the team captain, Leo Durocher. So then Babe left his job at first base coach and never went back to working with baseball. He always made public appearances that would draw crowds. His remains were laid to rest in the Yankee Stadium, and his funeral was held 2 days later at New York St. Patrick's Cathedral. Over 100,000 people stood in line to pay their respects to Babe Ruth. He then died in August 16th, 1948 in New York City, New York, of esophageal cancer. The last trivia fact that I have for you is that in 1916 World Series, Ruth pitched a complete game of 14 innings. It is the most innings pitched by a single pitcher during the postseason. And I would just like to say, long live a legend of Babe Ruth. Thank you for bringing baseball back to life for us.